Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Today is August 30th, 2021. We are almost at the end of the month. I hope everyone is having a good day so far. It's 1 o'clock on the West Coast, and it's going to be a hot one. Okay. All right. So let's get started. Today, we are going to talk about relationships where women are either more educated or earn more money than their spouses or significant others, or they either earn more money or they are more educated. What happens to the relationship? How do men feel if their spouse or significant other is more educated or earns more money? Is there jealousy? Is there a strain on the relationship? Are there stereotypes in society where men are supposed to live up to, or that men are supposed to live up to? All right. So, a lot of the conversations that I've had with women earning more than men, it kind of varies, and I want to thank Shy Lady for giving me this topic. Um, One thing that they say that can increase the risk of divorce is if a woman earns more than her husband. I think that's interesting. Um, and it's also something that makes some couples uncomfortable. Okay, and there are many times when a woman earns more than her husband. Neither one of them are willing to admit it. And I also found that to be interesting. Why won't a man or woman in a marriage or a relationship admit that a woman earns more than him? I mean, this is the 21st century. This is 2021. Um, why is that an issue? And when I reported, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, that was as of May of 2019. So that was, only 2 years ago. My last show last Thursday was about how parents, treat their sons differently from their daughters or vice versa. And again, again, we seem like we come back to gender. We come back to gender. Why is there an issue with a woman earning more than a man? Now, some people say that some men just can't handle it. Some men just can't handle the fact that their wife earns more money. But if a wife is helping to support the household, pay the bills, pay, the kids' tuition, for college or for school or whatever, what difference does it make? And I would even venture to ask, what if what if you were in, OJ 28, what if you were in a relationship, um, where you knew before you even really got married, or the relationship really started, getting some steam to it, that you knew that this particular person that you liked, um, you knew what job she had, and you knew she made more money than you. Would that bother you as a man? And then if you decide to proceed with this relationship and everything's going well and you guys get married and what have you, and she's still making more money than you, and she's, possibly getting promotions, whatever, and she's moving up the ladder, or, whatever, she's still making more money than you. At some point, will it bother you? Or did it bother you before you got married? Like, you really didn't say anything? I mean, what? Because again, they say that one thing that is in the top five that will destroy a marriage, um, is if the woman earns more than the man. Okay, OJ, you say no way. So you're saying no way, that you don't care if she earns more money than the man. I'm assuming that's what you mean. If there's true love. Okay. So what if it's a significant amount of money? Let's say it's true love, and let's say you're a mechanic. Okay, you're a mechanic working at Jiffy Lube, and you're making $15 an hour. Okay, and your wife, she's in corporate America, whatever, and she's making six figures, you know, high six figures. Would that be threatening to you? Would that be a threat on the relationship? And you find that when you guys go on vacation or something, that um, she's, pretty much paying for everything because she can afford to do it. Is there a problem? That's what I would like to know. Now, why should it be if we both love each other? Then it shouldn't. Okay, all right. You know, why should it be? But you do know that some men get upset if their wives or significant others earn more than they do. Now, I am reading something from Market Watch where they say from Love and Money, and this particular person said, "My wife has always earned more money than me, and for a while, it absolutely killed our sex life. Dead. I'm a trial lawyer now, but from 2006 to 2016, I didn't make a dime. I went back to school to get my master's and PhD and tried to break into academia." Um, Dave Peters was one of several men who told Mel Magazine what it was like when their wives earned more money than they did. Sometimes it worked out okay, and other times it caused problems. So this particular gentleman, Dave Peters, was the one who said that um, his wife earned more money, and he says that his relationship ran into difficulty because of how his wife handled their disparity in income. His wife made 180,000 a year, and she always had the final word when it came to vacations, where they ate dinner, and other household bills. The kids would ask her for money, and when she said no, they'd respond, "Fine, I'll ask dad." And then he added, and she would snort, "Yeah, sure." So if you have a relationship like that, then I guess it would cause problems. But there are some people who just can't handle it, and I question women who are in politics and women who who are in corporate America who are still single. And I question that, is it because um when they try to have relationships that men feel threatened? Okay, you're saying in the first place, when we have met and got to know each other's profession, if we accepted it, so be it. Okay. All right. OJ, would you like to come on and talk? And I invite you if you would like to come on. You're more than welcome. Okay, so let me ask you this. You say in the first place, if we met and got to know each other's professions, but what if that changed? Okay, it's okay next time. Okay, I always invite people. No pressure. Okay, so what if um, what if you got to know that person's profession and you guys got married and she went back to school or whatever, she got another job and she started to make significantly more money? Would that be a problem? Not necessarily for you, but do you think other men would see it as a problem? And I'd also like to know, what do you think the children think? Do you think that the children um do you think children may see dad as as weaker, as the weaker sex because mom is making more money? So that's another question that that I would, ask. Well, as for others, I can't say. Okay. But can you give me, what do you think? Do you think it would go more towards the negative or the positive, or um see, for me, I think it would probably for the men that I know, and friends that I have, male friends that I have, that it would affect them, that they would be affected by it. And then again, they say that, in a relationship, if a man is, I'm sorry, if a woman is making more than a man, um, they don't want to admit it. No one, the wife or the husband will admit that the wife is the wage earner or the bigger wage earner in the family. So that's another question. Why do you think neither one of them will admit that the woman makes more than the man? I mean, what's the big deal? Or should it be a big deal at all? Let's see. I'm trying to follow this. Regarding the children, yes. If my wife disrespectful, they would be impacted. Okay. All right. But what if your wife was not disrespectful? What if the children just knew that your wife made more money than you? Do you think that psychologically in their mind they would always kind of have a negative feeling towards you if you made less money? No one was being disrespectful, but they just knew that mom earned more money. So that's something that I would also like to know. And then another thing I would like to know is what about education? Let's say dad earned more money, but the wife was more educated. Maybe dad didn't have a college degree. Maybe he just, went through high school, but mom has a PhD, but dad is still earning more money. Do you think that's an issue? And that's another thing that they say um, is an issue when it comes to education. Some men are offended that their wives or significant others are more educated than they are. Do you think that that's an issue? Right now, women are starting to uh, earn more money. Let's see if there's strong family bonds within the family. I guess there'll be no problem. Okay, all right, okay, all right, all right. But one thing that's interesting is they say that even when women are still earning, more money, that they still don't have that equality at home. That they're still, looked down upon at home. That yeah, you may go out and you may earn, this amount of money, but you're still the woman. You're still supposed to come home and cook and clean and feed the kids and do the laundry and all of your wifely duties. You know, um, that even if a man does come home early or whatever, that he won't tend to those things. And I think that's true in a lot of cases. So why do you think that is? I mean, if two people, if you're in a two income family, two people are working, shouldn't both parties help out at home? And even if mom is just a housewife, doing those men are mentally sick. Yes, that's all balls. No, I mean I totally agree. Because doing household chores, I mean, that alone and taking care of kids, I mean, that is a full-time job that, women should get paid for, but of course they don't. But you still have a lot of men who think that women, um, whether, uh, they could be at the hospital taking care of a child that's, you know, um, recovering from an operation or something, and they've been at the hospital all day and all night. But you have some families where the husband still expects that when that wife comes home, she's coming home to a sink full of dirty dishes or a dirty house or we term those males as MCPs. Okay, what are MCPs? You're gonna have to enlighten me on that one. What are MCPs? Because I'm thinking military, but military would be MPs. So I'm not sure what MCPs are. Okay, but I mean, you have men who no matter what their wives are doing, and they know that the male chauvinist pigs. Okay, all right, you're taking us back in the day, male chauvinist pigs. Yes, yes. Okay, yeah, they are. So again, I ask about education. Do you think that there are some men who are offended if their wives are more educated than them? And I would even go so far as to say, "Hi, shy lady, welcome." I would even go so far as to say, um, why do men marry women who they know are either more educated and make more money if it's going to be an issue for them? So, Shy Lady, you know what the topic is. You gave it to me. Thank you very very much. But just to give just a little rundown. there are more women today in America who are making more than men, and women being the higher wage earner is one of the top 5 reasons for divorce, according to the U.S. Census. And there are still people who, some men who are still threatened by it. And in households where a woman makes more money, there are still households where neither the man nor the woman will admit that the woman makes more than the man. So, do you have any thoughts you'd like to throw in since this was your topic?
Um, yeah, I think that even across the board with different ethnic groups, I still think there is a like a stigma associated with men making more money. Excuse me, women making more money than women. A while back, I had asked my husband about what did he think of this, and at one time I was making more money than him, and he said that he had a problem with it at first, and then he said um, he was okay with it after a while. But he said if I wanted to get out there and make more money than him now, he has no problem with it at all. He said he don't see anything wrong with it, and I don't either. And it's just unfortunate that some people are still. I think if a man, a husband and wife agree that one person is going to take care of these bills or that bills, that's cool. But if you're defining your relationship just solely based on money, I think it's unfortunate. I
Well,
don't think.
okay. Well,
Mhm.
do you think that, okay, when you say if they're defining their relationship solely based on money, do you think it starts out like that though?
Sometimes I think sometimes people do get into relationships based on money. I do think sometimes people use other people. Some women use men to get money, and to because they make more money. I had a friend like that. She's making good money, and her thing was before anything. And I can understand because women, we do need stability, safety, security. I get that. I get all of that. But I had one friend who just was adamant that this man had to pay all her bills. They were dating, they weren't even married. And she was like, he got to pay all of my bills. And I was like, oh, okay.
you know,
They were dating. They didn't even live together. They were just dating.
and I don't know how you guys are going to take this when I say this, but I had a friend who I went to who I went through elementary and high school with, and then she moved out to California, and then I moved out to California probably about 10 years after her, and she works in entertainment, and she said we were talking about relationships, and she said that whatever man she dates, they better be ready to pay her rent and pay her car note and things like that. And I just looked at her, I said, "Oh, so you're going to be a prostitute?" And she got mad at me. But that's how I see it. It's like if that's what they're supposed to do, then you're prostituting yourself, for money. Is there? Do you like the person at all? Do you care for them? I mean, is he halfway decent? But everything for her was, he better take me here. He better pay for this. And I'm like, why should he pay your rent? That's your rent. That's your responsibility. You're a grown ass woman. Why should he have to pay your rent? And that's how I saw it. I said, so you're going to be a prostitute. And she
I,
got really upset with me. But I mean, I would never, ever expect a man to pay my way. I mean, yes, if you're going to dinner or something and he's treating you whatever, but for me to turn around and say, hey, I need, $500 for rent this month, or, you better pay this. That's so stupid. And see, hey, isn't tonight's topic similar to white person marrying a colored one? Well, first of all, do we still use the word colored? That's my question. And the other question is, I don't think so. Why do you think that is similar to a white person marrying a black person. And did we have a topic on a white people marrying black people? I thought it was if they were adopting. I don't know. We've talked so much on this show about different things that the topics have changed. But I will say, OJ, you might want to check the word color. Being African American, that one doesn't necessarily fly. At least nowadays. But let me ask, Shy Lady, what do you think about education? That if a woman is more, I okay, you wanted to be polite, but still, when you say colored, OJ, that's not the politically correct term to use. Just say black or African American, whatever, but not colored or Negro. So, but what do you all think about if a woman is more educated?
You know, I think it's interesting because I remember reading that Loretta Lynch, the former head of the Department of Justice, when President Obama was in
Mhm.
office, she married a man that was in security. I think he had some type of security job. I don't mean like the Walmart kind, but maybe something like in government.
Mhm.
And he was well less educated. I don't even know if he had a college degree. And I think that just because you are college educated does not mean that you are necessarily the brightest color in the crayon box. But I will say that education can play a factor, but it doesn't mean, because there's some people out there who are very intelligent and did
Mhm.
not graduate from college. Bill Gates is one of them,
Mhm.
and I don't think Steve Jobs. I read his book. I don't think he ever graduated from college. I think he had dropped out and started working for Hewlett Packard, and then left there and developed Apple.
Mhm.
So education, I'm like, you got to be intelligent though. In my perspective, you got to be
But do you
intelligent.
but do you think that in terms of the of gender that it's still like a threat, like you said, just because you can have a master's or PhD and not be the smartest crayon in the crayon box, okay?
Mhm.
But do you think that psychologically that it's still a threat?
I think psychologically, it is a threat. I do. I think men still got most men. I won't say all. Most men have this bravado about them where they want to have their chest stuck out, and I'm somebody. I run this, that kind of thing. Because I think some men whose wife make more, they might feel less than the best or inferior, that because they're not making as much money as their wife is or girlfriend. There are some men like that, but I think as a whole, I think men would like to make more than their significant other, because it's just something about men where they got to feel like they're top dog, at least in my experience.
Okay, well then, let me ask this. And before you came on, I was, just asking questions, about, what do you think and why is this, and how do you feel about this? Um, what do you think about women who are in powerful positions? And I'm going to specifically point out Condoleezza Rice. Now, she's unmarried. I have no idea the type of relationship she's had. I have no idea if she's ever been close to getting married. I don't know her personal life. But from the outside looking in, do you think that men would see her as a threat because of the positions she's had, the education she has? Just, you know, I'm Mr. Rice.
I think a couple of things. I had to clear my throat. I think that, and like you said, I don't know anything. I haven't really read like a autobiography on her to see her viewpoint. But looking at her status and being a black woman, I think she may have probably, I think I read somewhere that she might have been engaged before. I think I did read that somewhere, but I don't know if what the background of the man was. But I think in terms of black women, just looking at black women in the media in Hollywood, um, I think a lot of black women have trouble trying to get a man on their equal. For those who do want to be in a relationship with someone of their own ethnicity, I think a lot of them have struggled because they haven't been able to find a man on their level. Now, even my own daughter, who's doing very well in her career, she's been having a little difficulty in the dating world. A lot of the men she's been meeting have not been on the level that she is financially. And she said, I'll date a man who makes less, but they got to be in a position where they're going to potentially earn more, from her perspective, because there's a certain lifestyle that she wants to maintain, and having a man that can still make money is important to her. But there are a lot of guys that she's met who are just way below what she's making financially, and she's not typically interested in men like that. So, and she's dated most of the time, people in her own race. But
Okay, but let me ask. Okay, so this goes back to for a comment that I was making before you came on the show, and if she meets someone working at Jiffy Lube, and he's a really nice guy, and he really likes his job. He likes working on cars, and he likes, this is what he likes to do, and he's good at it. He may not have his own shop. He may not even be interested in opening up his own shop, but this is what he likes to do. And he, likes your daughter. She likes him. He treats her well, whatever, and he wants to marry her. Is that going to be a problem?
probably it depends on how much he's making. If it's significantly lower
I
than
mean,
what.
he's making $15 an hour, and he'll probably, if he stays there, he'll probably, maybe at some point, maybe make $20 an hour. But my point is, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, it's like, um, if there's love there and they have the foundations for a solid relationship and whatever, and again, he's happy. He's happy doing what he wants to do. Your daughter, she's making more money and she's happy doing what she wants to do. Why is there going to be a problem?
Well, from when I've talked to her about a situation like that, because she have dated guys who were nice and make significantly less, and she's in the six-figure range now. She probably, from what she told me, if I wanted to have a baby and stay at home for a little while, I don't want money to be a factor where I can't stay home for a couple of years until this kid is 3 years old. Then I can re-enter the work world. But she doesn't want to stay home, not for a
Okay.
long period of time. But her thing was, if I choose to have a baby and you're making that amount, $15, $20 an hour, that's not going to sustain the lifestyle that I want. And she wants to also put her future children in private school, and she wants to be able to afford that opportunity to her kids. So, in terms of money, it's not so much about he's not good enough or anything like that. And he's okay, he's nice, but there's a certain lifestyle that she wants. And she said, I'm okay with making more than him. She told me that the other day. She said, I'm okay with making more, but it can't be the situation where it's way more and it's not even enough to take care of him and me. She said, I can't deal with that because I want to put my kids through private school. I want to take my kids to Disney World, to the Smithsonian
Right.
museums. She said, I want to be able to afford that lifestyle. So for her, those are the reasons.
Okay. And even though she would be able to afford that lifestyle from her salary, she still wants her husband or her significant other in order to chip in.
Yeah, she said that I want to be able to have them chip in, because she said, because I may not want to go back to work right away. I may want to stay home 2 or 3 years, when my kid is, talking and like 3 years old, and then I want to enter the workforce. And if you're able, you need to be able to hold it down while I'm at home being a mommy, a full time mommy. I said, yeah.
Okay, so let me ask this, and I'm not just talking about your daughter. I'm just using the scenario. So, let's say that woman's making significantly more money, and there are things that she wants to do, and the husband switches jobs, and he's making more money, and he's making a significant amount, but he isn't happy. He isn't happy, but he's doing it, because you know his wife wants to stay home, whatever, raise the kids, whatever, and do all this, and he's chipping in, whatever. But that person isn't happy. What do you do then? Because to me, that right there is a blueprint for divorce.
I knew a situation where that actually did happen. This kid that was on my son's team, basketball team, um, the husband was not happy. Even though he was making very good money, he was not happy, and he decided to quit the job. Now he knew that he could get another job to replace that one. It wasn't a guarantee, but he knew that he could probably get another job to replace it. And the wife, she was a stay-at-home mom. They had one son, and then they had a second son that was like 2 years old at the time. The older kid was about 10 or 12. And she posted all over Facebook, how much of a loser he was. And
Wow! Wow!
she could not believe that
Wow!
she could not believe he left his job. And I was like, wow, too. She actually said all that. He said, yeah, she posted all over Facebook. But eventually he did find another job paying twice as much as the one that he made. He's already making six figures, and he's remarried as well. But yeah,
Now, I was going to say, did he stay with her? Because
no,
just from
she divorced him.
see, I think I probably would have divorced her first, because the whole posting over Facebook, that was just low.
Yeah,
That was low.
she divorced him, and she left. She found her another man, and he remarried, and he's happy.
It's interesting, just listening to you and just thinking about this whole subject, that when you get into a relationship with someone, it's not just about love, that love will lead the way and everything. I mean, I do believe love plays a huge part in it. And I do believe that, there are couples out there that no matter what, through thick and thin, as long as we're together, we can struggle, whatever. But there's also, but, when children come into play, there are other factors you have to think of. Um, you know, People change. If somebody else gets another job, if you meet different people, and I mean, there are some people who start to change within a relationship just because they're running. I'm not going to say running with a different group of friends, but maybe at work, they meet people, and their coworkers may be doing this, and you're trying to keep up with them and what have you. But relationships are work, and when you have to think about money and who's making the most and who's more educated, it can put a very definite strain on the relationship. It can really you know um hurt a relationship, you know and both parties are going to have to be willing to give in some way. But then it's like, well, why should I give more, or why should I have to do this? I'm already paying for this and this and this. Why do I have to do this? Or I mean, it just causes problems. So, Shy Lady, before you came on, and I had asked OJ the question, so now I'd like to ask you, if the wife earns more than the husband, and the children know it, and even though it's not a big deal between mom and dad, do you think that psychologically somewhere, that the children may see dad as less than? even though it's not a big, I mean, even though, no one talks about it at home and no one's throwing it up in anyone's face or anything, do you think that the kids will still say, well, mama earns more than you, or why does, how come you don't earn more money? And, you know,
I don't think so. I don't think that the kids will really care.
okay.
I don't think they'll care. I know a situation where um, it was a couple that I went to church with, and she made really good money. She was in banking and a finance or something. And the husband, used to joke about it. My wife make more than I do. And they had a couple of kids, and I don't think it was ever a big deal. They're still, crazy in love, still together. She thinks the world of him. He thinks the world of her. And
Good, good.
so the kids, I don't think it was ever really a factor. But he thought it was cool. My wife make more than me. I don't care. I don't have a problem.
Well, why do you think you have some relationships where um, people don't talk about it? They will not admit that, his wife makes more, or she won't admit that she makes more than him.
I think people still care what people think. That's the biggest issue. They still care what people think. They feel like they get these stereotypes of a woman should be home or whatever, a man should make more, stereotypes. And
Bingo.
I think that's part of the issue. They worry about what people think, and it's all stereotypes. It's stereotypical. I remember one time I read an article on it was a black woman who was the CEO of Sam's. I don't think this was maybe a few years back, maybe 10 years ago. She was the CEO of Sam's, and I remember her saying that her mother had a problem with her husband being a stay-at-home dad.
Wow.
hmm Yep. And I think she was like in her 50s, like she's maybe like our age our age now, but this was like when she was in her 40s. And she said that her mother had an issue with it. Now she was a black woman. I will say that. And
Okay,
I
well
believe
that
I believe her husband was
okay.
black as well. But I remember she was a CEO of Sam's.
Well, I do know that when it comes to black people, especially black women, older black women, because I mean my mom is 86 years old, and um, I know comments that she's made to me over the years in terms of what men are supposed to do and what women are supposed to do, and it's that mindset. It's that mindset. That's just like what we were talking about the other day about how raising children, that you treat daughters differently from sons. You know,
hmm
um, some women like Kimmis was saying that his mom, had a problem with his sister in enlisting in the military.
hmm
So it is definitely a stereotype thing. I do believe that it is still gender where a lot of people still think that the man is supposed to be the biggest wage earner. I personally think that it's great when dads stay home with the kids, because and I'm pretty sure that you probably see this as a parent, that when your child wants something, the first person they come to is mom.
hmm
And children spend a lot of time with their mothers growing up. And I think that it's great that that children do spend time with dad. Get that bonding, whatever in. And I have no problem, if my husband wanted to be a stay at home dad, that's fine. Stay home. I'll go out and I'll work, whatever. So it's never been a big thing in our house. There have been times, just from the different things that I've done over the years and stuff, where there have been times where I've made more than my husband. There have been times where he's made more than me, and it was not a big deal. The bottom line is, we're paying, the mortgage, tuition, what have you, and nobody cared. So I also think it's how you look at yourself. How confident are you, not just in your relationship, but how confident are you just with your own self that so what if your wife makes more than you? So what? But don't throw it up in his face. Don't go on Facebook and say your husband's a loser. I mean, don't do anything like that. But I don't know. You know, um, I look at someone like uh Bill and Hillary Clinton, and both of them, I've read their bios, whatever. Both of them, were very ambitious people, and it clicked for them. And when you look at the whole, and this is just me being someone from the outside looking into their marriage. When I see the whole Monica Lewinsky thing with the Clintons, and you have a lot of women, especially a lot of white women, who got very upset with her because she didn't leave him. And this is where, again, I say what goes on in someone else's marriage, is not your business, as long as, no one's beating anybody or abusing someone. But um, she chose to stay with him. Um, I think part of it was a political move, but I could be wrong, whatever. Um, but when you have two ambitious people who, outside of their marriage, they work well together, that's a relationship that's not going to be broken up. That's always going to be, whether he makes more than her, whether she makes more than him. That's never going to be an issue within that relationship. Um, Now, if you had someone where Hillary was making more money than your average Joe, I think that would be a problem for her. And I would think it would be a problem for Joe. But when people get together and before they get married and they see how people are, and you tell your potential spouse or whatever that I want to go to school and I want to get my PhD, or you know one day I want to own this, or I want to do this, I want to do that, then that person should be ready to accept that if it happens, you were told. But you have some people, some men, who, when their wives are starting to become successful and they start to pass them up, they can't handle it. Now, I'm going to flip the switch. What do you think about men who make significantly more than their wives or their significant others? Do you think on some level that there could be some jealousy from the woman? Or do you think that most women are just happy to sit back and say, that's okay if he makes more than me, as long as he's paying the bills?
The latter, I totally agree with. Most women um, do not care that the man's making more than them, as long as he's paying the bills. I don't. I would think most women are like that because again, we go back to society where back in prior to the 1980s,
Hmm.
most women stayed home.
True.
They did not work. It was a given that the man would be the breadwinner. The man would do the work, and the woman would stay home and raise the kids. And that has changed a lot in our society now. You got more women out there um, making way more money. You got women that are, like I said, CEOs of companies and executives. It has significantly changed for a lot of women, but again, mostly white women, I would say.
But you know what though? I don't know. I mean, I think what you're saying is true. But just from my own personal upbringing and my experience, my mom was not a stay at home mom. My mom, she was a teacher. My dad was a mail carrier, and both parents worked. My father would pick me up from school um, every day. He would take me to dental appointments, eye appointments, to speech therapy. I mean, my father took me everywhere. I probably spent more time with my father than I did with my mother. And when we went on vacations, my father was a homebody. He didn't like to go on vacations. He was also very thrifty, or cheap, I'll say, and he didn't like to spend money. So my mother, I remember them, we are going here, we are going there. So on the times, we would get in the car, and we would all, my sister and I, we're traveling, and we've been all over the country on family vacations. But my father, he always said that the best vacation with him for him is sitting in the backyard with his transistor radio, listening to a White Sox or a Cubs game, or watching the Bears on TV, playing football. That's where he was happiest. And when you saw him, you saw how happy he was. He didn't like traveling. So there were times when my mother would say, "Okay, you don't want to go?" And she would ask us, "Do either one of you want to go?" And I was usually the one that went, and we would go, and we would be gone for like 2 weeks. And as my sister and I were growing up, one thing that my father told us is never depend on a man for money. Always have your own money, because if something happens, you need to know how to take care of yourself. You just need to know how to do things. And to this day, I think that's probably one reason why my sister and I are so independent. That you know, I don't need my husband to do something for me. I don't need him to take care of me, where I'm going to ex- you know ex- expect him to pay the bills, whatever. I have my own bank account, whatever. And that's one thing that my father always said: have your own money. And my mother, she was backing him up. Have your own money. You all can have money together, but have your own. If he wants to go out, like my husband, he one day I walked in and there was a 73-inch TV sitting in our living room. You know, I didn't say a word. It was his money. He can spend it however he wants. I don't care. And that's just the way it works for us. But and I can honestly say, being married 23 years, my husband and I have never fought over money. We don't fight over money. It's just, we may argue over other things, but money, that's one thing we do not argue over. So I don't know. Do you think that's, I mean, what do you all think about people in marriages having their own bank accounts?
I
Oh,
think it's good. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. And if OJ is able to
no,
dial in or whatever.
no. He said more power to you. No, OJ is fine. I've already invited him, and he said he's cool. Just typing. So
Okay.
yeah.
I think it's good because that's one of the number one reasons people are divorcing over. I think number one and two, money and sex. I think those are the major reasons. So probably with money being number one, and I think that's good. I think that is fantastic, and I'm teaching my daughter and raising her the same way to don't depend on a man to supply what you need.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
Mm-hmm.
definitely raising my daughter with that philosophy for sure, because you never know what could happen.
I mean, you never know what can happen. And, Shaw Lady, you and I, we worked at the same telecommunications company years and years ago. And I remember when I would, take a phone call, and, and you're asking someone, can you give me your calling card number? And you have these women who are giving you credit card numbers. And then they would say things like, oh, well, my husband died or whatever. He usually paid the bills. And I just always thought, wow, you don't even know what the difference between this particular card or that particular card. But you have women out there who never knew how to write it. Not that people use checks anymore, but they never knew how to write a check because their husband always did it.
Mm-hmm.
So I say for those men out there who have daughters, you want to make sure that your daughter can handle herself. And like I said on a previous show, my dad taught us how to change oil, change tires, whatever. Sometimes, I mean, to this day, sometimes I will take my car in to get the oil change, and sometimes I will do it myself. It's something that I can do in like in 15 minutes. It isn't hard. And and especially, he was my father was insistent on knowing how to change a tire. Because if you're somewhere where you can't call someone or you don't have someone in the car to help you, you better know how to pull out that jack and either put on that spare tire, whatever, but you better know how to do it because it could mean the difference between life and death.
Mm-hmm. True.
And you know, I just think that being a woman, women rely on men way too much, way too much. And I don't think it has, in terms of sexism and gender and everything like that, I've had this conversation with a great aunt of mine before she passed away. And she thought that my father was absolutely wrong. There's no way your father should have had you girls doing this and doing that. Okay. But there have been times when, I'm driving and I had a flat. I had to change the tire, you know, and I wasn't necessarily in an area where, it was easy for me to call. So, I just think that we just need to get over the fact that, we are in a new time. Things are changing. We're in the 21st century. Get over it. If your wife or significant other, girlfriend or whomever makes more than you, so what? At least she has a job. I mean, isn't
I
that what it is
agree.
now? At least she has a job. Right now,
Mm-hmm.
we just want jobs. So at least somebody has a job. They can pay the rent. At least somebody has a job, where we don't have to stand in line, for a food bank or something. At least somebody has a job. I don't care if you're working in the Dollar Tree, whatever, or 99-cent store, whatever. At least you have a job. So,
I totally agree. Totally.
but you know, I will say, Shy Lady, more power to your daughter. I will say she's not my daughter, but I'm extremely proud of her. I know the work that she has, put in, what have you. But I don't know. Relationships are funny, and we'll see, what happens going down the road because I think in the next 10 years women will definitely surpass men in terms of earning money.
Probably right. Mm-hmm.
I don't know why necessarily, but I think that well, you know what, let me ask this real quick before I sign off. Do you think that, well, okay, I'll just ask this question. Why do you think women are becoming the breadwinners in the family or in relationships, whatever, or just period? Why do you think women are earning more money than men? Just period.
I think more women are going to college now than ever. I think men are going to college less. Their men are still dominating corporate America in terms of the earning potential. They are still very dominant. White men are still the highest earners in corporate America. White women are second behind them. But I think that more doors are opening for other women of ethnic groups as well. A lot of black women are going to college more than black men. And again, I just think that there are more doors opening. Even with, a lot of employers are saying, hey, if you're in the military, we got all these benefits. So it's a push because I know back in the 80s and 90s, there was a push to hire more women in the corporate world, and it's working. And I know there's a push now as far as the LGBT community is concerned, as well as military.
Hmm.
It's changing a lot in the corporate world, and even with people with disabilities as well.
Do you think that's just only in America, or do you see that also happening in other countries?
I think particularly America. I'm not sure in the other Western world, parts of Europe, but because I haven't really read any articles about what's going on in terms of the corporate world in Europe, but I definitely would say so in America.
Okay, now OJ says that's because they are smarter. Do you think women are smarter than men?
Who do I think they are?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
Oh, not
Yeah,
necessarily.
I'm
No,
just looking at what OJ said. He says
no.
because okay.
I don't think it's a gender thing. I think it's a person's willingness to learn. I don't really think it's gender. Me personally, I don't think so.
Okay, and then you look at what's going on, in the Middle East, where you have certain factions that they don't want women, to go to school. They don't want them in the workforce. When the Taliban, since they've taken over Afghanistan, all women in banking were told to go home, and they were replaced with women. I'm sorry, they were replaced with men who are now in those jobs, and a lot of women, have lost their jobs. They were told to go home. You have girls that grew up within the last 20 years in Afghanistan who did not have to deal with the oppression, that their parents did, and now is back. Why do you think? And I know it's a cultural thing for them, but why do you think it almost seems to me that when I look at the Middle East and I see how they treat women, it's almost as if women are a threat. Why do you think that is? Like in some cultures where women just are just nothing.
Um, I think that it goes to me. It goes back to the whole Adam and Eve thing. Um, Adam blamed Eve for giving him the apple. I think that a lot of cultures, society, even America, see women as a whole, women as the reason why a lot of men are tempted. You think about like the prostitution rate in America. I mean, they want to blame women, but it's the men who are the customers. And
True.
in the Middle East society, they make the women dress up because they feel that if a woman is not completely covered in dress, she's going to tempt a man to want to be with her sexually. It's always the woman's fault because a man can't handle his sexual libido. It's always the woman's fault. Oh, you're dressed too provocative. Um, you wearing your shirt is too tight. I remember when I worked at this telecommunications company that we both worked at, and I'll never forget. I had a white male supervisor, and I had on a tight dress. He brought me into the office and told me my skirt was too tight. He actually brought me in the office and told me my skirt was too tight. I couldn't believe it. But
Well,
he never said any. I don't know if it was a racial thing or a gender thing, but I was flabbergasted.
I do know the supervisor that you had, and for that particular incident, I don't think it was racial. I think it was strictly gender. And I would not be surprised again for the supervisor that you had that it wasn't even gender. It was the fact that he probably couldn't stop looking at you. So I don't know. I Again, this is a whole different show, a whole different topic, whatever, that I'd be more than happy to talk about. But when it comes to how women are treated in the workplace, I mean, that's a whole, different topic, what have you. But gender definitely plays a role in how women are treated, how, they're viewed in relationships. And I mean, it's a shame. Again, this is the 21st century. This is 2021. Why are we still talking about this? Why is it still an issue? I look at someone like Bill Cosby and uh, what was his name? Uh, Harvey Weinstein and all these others. Cuomo and what have you. Why does it take 10 people before an investigation is open? If one person says that this is what happened to me, shouldn't there be a problem? But it takes 10 people or 20 people, But again, like I said, that's an entirely different show. But unless anyone has anything else to say, that's all I've got for today. I appreciate my two listeners. Thank you. OJ, thank you for typing in the chat. Shy Lady, as always, thank you for joining in. I am Solid Blue Sister. This is my turn to talk. Always speak your truth, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, ba-da, bum, bum, bum. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. Bye.